veel. Als wel wat is het? Of ik ben niet zoveel. Als wel wat is het? Hello sailors, you're watching the Dodgy Kebab, and this video is a review of the private World of Warcraft server, Primal WoW. Primal WoW is a super progressive server that runs on a 3.3.5 client, although it's currently simulating patch 1.5. This means there's a level cap of 60, Outlands and Northrend are disabled, there are no heirlooms. Talents in the trees that came after vanilla are disabled, so no using charge while in protective stance. Guards have had their levels and HP reduced to vanilla levels. You can't learn riding until you hit level 40. Vendors have had their non-vanilla items removed, and PvP rewards are unlocked as the season progresses. Inscription and jewel crafting are disabled, along with Death Knights, Blood Elves and Draenei. So right now, this is vanilla WoW, but with the mechanics of Wrath of the Lich King. So taunt works farther than just 4 meters away. You have RDF, you've got achievements and guild banks, but Primal WoW is not always going to be in vanilla mode. As time progresses, Burning Crusade will be unlocked, and you'll have Wrath of the Lich King mechanics, but 2.4.3 content. And then finally, after much more time progresses, Wrath of the Lich King will be finally unlocked. To compensate for the nerfing of old content that the 3.3.5 client brings, dungeon difficulty has been ramped right up in the form of bosses and mobs having raised HP levels. I've been after a server like this for ages, and when I read the detail of this project, I put the Ashram review on hold to come and try this out. I was hyped to shit by the idea of this server, and when I found out who it's been developed by, my hype levels just flew past 9,000. The devs don't wish to be named, but maybe I might slip the team name into this video somewhere. So I made a few characters and off I went as Tyrus Flare, the Human Protection Warrior. I didn't even have time to scratch my arse before the staff came along to say hello. I probably could have got away with a free level 60 character right there, but I wanted to try out the content properly for myself, so onwards I went to Goldshire. Yes, Goldshire, not Goldshire. Let's just get a few things straight here, yeah? Yorkshire.
Hey, you! Don't stand up, I'm farted, you know. Right, the name's George Whitered. I'm a Yorkshireman, plain speaking. I say what I like and I like what I bloody well say. Hey up, son, you'll never blame a Yorkshire. No offence.
Shropshire.
It was in Shropshire's Coalbrookdale that Abram Darby perfected the secret of smelting iron with coke.
And finally, Hampshire. So yes, Goldshire, thank you very much. Anyway, back to Goldshire, and I began with all the normal things like making sure fishing and cooking works. On to Stormwind, and I bagged myself a couple of easy achievements before going back out into the field and to take on some quests. I noticed that mobs do a good job of repositioning themselves when you charge attack them. Plus, there is good line of sight programming going on here. Notice this wizard runs round the post to attack me when I take a couple of steps back to get out of his line of sight. After a trip round the Fargo Deep Mine, it was time to take on the Hogger. Although first of all, I joined a classic Hogger raid with what was at the time most of the entire population of the server. Clearly this wouldn't actually help me advance my quest, so I came back the next day and managed to solo him using my epic skills. Something else I found out the next day was the population had shot up quite a bit. They were averaging about 25 players when I started, but after I put up that little PSA video, they've been hitting numbers of over 100. Well, I think it was my PSA that brought them here. They might have all come over on the boat, which I found in the Deep Mud tram. Actually, why is there a boat here? Why? 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 Das war so sehr absolut Nordfalen. As part as a witty helps it also not toilet. I reloaded the game and the boat was gone. Must have been a client-side glitch. Apart from that though, I hadn't seen any bugs. I had seen some nice touches around the game though. I took a trip out to Ironforge and the surrounding areas. I found that the Mountaineers did actually walk together as a group. Plus I saw the gnome army undergoing some training. This piece of set dressing is scripted properly and the gnomes react to whatever the sergeant asked them to do. Mr. Game Master Reviews could stand in the middle of this lot and it would be like Where's Wally? Next on my to-do list was to try out the PvP. I queued up as normal and before not too long I appeared in Warsong Gulch for a 2v2 match. Obviously we hammered the Horde scum to the tune of 3-0. Then, to really rub it in, I queued again straight after the match with an even bigger team, then slapped the Horde again. I'm not sure if this counts as ganking or not, but either way, both matches seemed to go off flawlessly with no problems. Other things that had been going on was the amount of quests I had completed. I had also crafted quite a few items, and I also learned that the staff here have an IRC ticket system, so they can read in-game tickets while they're not even logged into the game. I was level 16 when I got my first RDF group. I teamed up with 2 other guys, and the tool found us 2 others and threw us into a Ragefire Chasm group. The dungeon went off without a hitch, and we all came out better off. Not only did we get some good drops, but the reward bag that the RDF tool gives you for completing the dungeon works, and we all got one of them too. I picked up a few green items for the dungeon, so I took this chance to check out the auction house. Surprisingly, even with a low population, there was quite a lot on offer to buy, and the prices were very reasonable. But I expect this from a server that only offers vanity items and mounts from its shop. I'll never stop repeating this, but this is exactly the sort of items that are reasonable to put in a shop. Nothing affects the gameplay, but they are some nice bits to reward a player for their loyalty. Everything had been really great so far, so what happened next was a bit of a letdown. The summer event was happening during the recording sessions, so I picked up the opening quest and scarpered over to where it takes place in the city. I couldn't hand the quest in, and when I tried to take part in the torch tossing, not only did the torches not launch, but half the targets were missing anyway. The torch catching didn't work, and nor did the summer pole dancing thing. The only way to earn summer tokens was to visit the bonfires around the world, but that was a total waste of time because the vendor NPC who accepted the tokens was missing. It was a shame because most of the other things worked fine. I was smashing through quests in Westfall, like the traitor quest, which was perfectly programmed. Oh no, hang on. Why are you leaving me? You traitor! Once I had this quest down, I got myself into a Dead Minds group to continue the chain. The instance was fine, and all the events also worked fine.
Great.
I did a bit more questing, this time around Lakeshire.
I would have said Lakeshire.
Oh, don't start, Flair. Anyway, I joined another RDF group. This time we fought through the Stormwind stockades, and like the Dead Mines, it was fine.
Great.
As the RDF tool was working out really well for me, I gave it another turn and then I got a BFD group. I've always hated having to travel to this place, but the actual dungeon's quite good. As with the other instances, it worked fine and we breezed through it.
Great. Really great.
At this point, I had a word with the staff and got myself a level 60 character sorted out. Was the first thing I tried a top level instance? No! The first thing I tried was to try and break the server. I know that some mobs in the underground area of Deadwind Pass near Karazhan have outland loot tables, so I tried to see if I could get some Burning Crusade items from them. The answer was yes! I looted some Netherweave cloth, but do you know what I did with these illegal goods? Obviously I stuck them on the auction house for extortionate prices. I heard from a guild member that improvements had been made to the summer event, so I went back to check it out. They were correct, as the dancing pole now worked and gave the correct buff. All the NPCs had appeared, as too had the rest of the torch targets, but the torch tossing game was still not working.
Shite.
Time to put this level 60 to work, and what better way to warm up than with a BRD group. The Ring of Law was scripted correctly. Operating the wheel caused the bridge to appear. Anger Forge wasn't quite right, because once beaten, the backup mobs didn't come running down the stairs. The Grim Guzzler section works well though. We did have one problem. Our healer reported that he was killed by an invisible mob which he believed was an ad that followed us from the Grim Guzzler section. The Dwarf Boss section showed us that the changes the staff made to the boss HP levels and how they changed the game. Normally the bosses seem to attack you one after another, although what really happens is just that they're on a timer, but you have enough time to take one out before the next one starts. That's not the case here, as they take far longer for you to kill. You end up having to take on more of them at once. In the final boss room, normally if you don't kill the trash first, then you'll pull the whole room if you attack the boss. Here, you'll only pull the trash on the lower floor if you go straight for the kill on the boss. I took part in a Stratholm group on the undead side. For me, this place drags on a bit too long, but nevertheless we smashed through it. Although all the instants went off flawlessly, we did hit a problem near the end where the boss took much longer to appear than we expected, to the point that we thought the game was bugged. The boss suddenly showed up and took everyone by surprise, which led us to be wiped out. Two people tried to corpse run back and they found themselves locked out the instance. We fixed the situation by removing the locked members and then re-inviting them. Once everyone was back, we managed to go on to finish the instance fine. Next up was Scholomance. Would you agree that I'm pronouncing that right, Flair?
I would say Scholomance too.
Good. Well, most of the instants went off very well and we took down many bosses here. Really, there was only one hiccup, and that was Lord Alexei Barov deciding that instead of fighting us in the room where he normally should, today he was going to make the unusual change by floating up through the ceiling and reappearing in the room upstairs. We had to leg it out the room, up the stairs, and we found him making his way to us. We killed him and then we killed the Dark Master. Bosh, dungeon complete. Here we are at the end, and it's time for a conclusion. Is Primal WoW any good? The answer is yes, but for me there is more to it than that. From a technical standpoint, this is a very strong server and has a huge amount of working content. Sure, there are a few little bugs here and there, but there isn't a server around that has got everything perfect, and the small amount of bugs are eclipsed by the huge amount of working content. The player base is small but growing, and no doubt after this video goes out we'll see a population jump. These things alone make it worth your while, but there is something deeper here, something much more. I've been making server reviews, jumping from server to server and never sticking to one after I'm finished with my video. I've been looking for a new server to call home. I've seen some great servers, but Primal WoW offers something very different. The idea of playing through vanilla content with upgraded mechanics is a great idea. Playing through Kronos and Nostrils reminded me how much I prefer Wrath the Lich King in terms of gameplay style. And playing through Warcraft, the open test version, reminded me that although I do prefer Burning Crusade content, I still prefer Wrath the Lich King gameplay. Well, with Primal WoW, I can have all of that. I can play through vanilla the way I want to. I know that in the future, the character I build now will one day be able to take part in Burning Crusade content. This server offers all the content that I love, but with a new twist. I don't feel like I'm playing the same game that I've played before. I feel like I'm playing an upgraded version of it, so I'm not just retreading all the same ground which I've done many times before. This is a fresh take on World of Warcraft, but using the content I want to play. This doesn't feel like something I'm just going to get bored of after a while, because I know there's a lot in store for the future here. The search for the one is over. Yes, I'll still be making reviews on different servers, that won't end, but finally I have found home. Hello sailors, thank you for watching the video, hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to support me in my future videos, there's a Patreon link down there if you want to go that way, or by request I've now added a direct PayPal donate button, so if you want to do it that way, do it that way. There's other things you can do. You can follow me on social media like Facebook and Twitter, and why not have a look at these other videos I'm linking on the screen right now. Anyway, that's all, bye bye.